Coming up on this all-new episode of Focus, a new month means we start with art. At the Allentown Art Museum, a new exhibit combines art and history to shine light on the civil rights movement of the 1960s. Plus, is art part of a healthy lifestyle? A local children's hospital thinks so. Allentown students partner with Lehigh Valley Health Network for a special program called Community Canvas. These stories, plus we explore the role of art in the healing process and introduce PBS 39's Artist of the Month, coming up right now on Focus. Focus is for our community.
Focus showcases the people,
The places and the issues that matter to you.
Focus on what matters.
You never know what you're going to see when you tune into Focus.
Support for Focus is provided by Univest, Banking, Insurance, Investments, Fellowship Community, Continuing Care with Spirit, and by viewers like you. Thank you.
Thank you for joining us. I'm Laura McHugh, broadcasting from PBS 39 at the PPL Public Media Center in Bethlehem. It's a new month, and on Focus, that means we start with art. We'll explore the connection between creativity and health coming up. But first, a special exhibit combines art and history at the Allentown Art Museum. This collection of more than 150 photographs vividly illustrates the tragedies and the triumphs of the historic civil rights movement of the 1960s. For a glimpse of what you'll see and learn at the exhibit, here's Focus reporter Grover Silcox. Grover?
Thank you, Laura. The exhibit, titled This Light of Ours, opened in January and runs through May. 9 activist journalists shot these vivid photos as they stood on the front lines of change in the fight for civil rights.
We will be able to speed up that day when all of God's children, black men and white men, Jews and Gentiles, Protestants and Catholics, will be...
The Allentown Art Museum's latest exhibit, This Light of Ours, shows the great civil rights movement of the 1960s through the lens of 9 activist photographers who lent their talents and gave their hearts to one of the most transformative struggles in American history.
This is an exhibit of activist photographers who worked primarily for the Student Nonviolent Coordinating Committee in the deep southern states of Mississippi and Alabama between 1963 and 1968.
The Student Nonviolent Coordinating Committee, also known as SNCC, opened offices in the Deep South and helped organize local civil rights efforts.
Children, this little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light.
The actual success of the civil rights movement was not the big demonstrations, but the day-to-day work of organizing that went into small communities and was led by local black leaders who understood their communities and knew what they needed. And so the volunteers who came in to help them rather than to tell them what to do.
The collection of 157 photographs begins with a Black Life theme.
One of the things we see when we go through the Black Life theme is we begin to see that the photographers were comfortable with the people they were photographing, the people were comfortable with them. They're photographing, day-to-day life. We're not only seeing deprivation, but we're seeing people essentially comfortable in their day-to-day world.
Comfortable as long as they accepted the deprivations created by discrimination and inequality.
As long as they didn't come into too much contact with the powers that be and push back against it, they were probably okay. This young man did come into contact with it, and you can see the scarring on his head from a beating.
Another theme is organizing and how SNCC trained volunteers to help blacks in Alabama and Mississippi and other southern cities to register to vote.
In the summer of 1964, SNCC brought down 1,000 young people from throughout the United States, from some of the elite schools around the country to work in voter registration and in freedom schools.
The photos also show Dr. Martin Luther King's Southern Christian Leadership Conference and his coordination with SNCC and other civil rights groups.
The underlying theme in this show is political power, how it was denied and what steps were taken to acquire it again.
The third theme focuses on state and local terror.
The third theme of state and local terror has moments in which the photographers were confronted with issues that they thought conveyed to them the nature of white oppression of black people.
One of the things that's incredible to me about this show is these photographers had so little time to capture these moments that they captured, especially given the chaos that at times they were embroiled in.
The final theme covers activist James Meredith's 1966 March Against Fear from Memphis, Tennessee to Jackson, Mississippi. When Meredith was shot by a sniper, Martin Luther King and Stokely Carmichael, SNCC's leader, continued it.
Finally, in the Meredith March Against Fear, where essentially which also became a voter registration march.
As a mother of 3 wonderful half African-American boys, the emotions that I got is, wow, I'm amazed by the way that things used to be back in the day.
Matt Herron, who attended a panel discussion with 4 of his fellow activist photographers on the exhibit's opening day in Allentown, speaks about a farmer who was marching in the 1965 Selma to Montgomery March.
What you see in his face is just a kind of quiet pride. He's walking through the scariest, most segregated part of Alabama. It's a way in which just his simple human presence kind of overcame me.
For me, this was an eye-opening show, and I think that for many other people who were born after the 60s, this will be an opportunity to really learn about this time period and really understand where we come from and where we're going.
The exhibit actually helps us link the past and the present. What we have to mostly remember is the movement's struggle is not over.
And that the drive for equality continues until everyone in this country shares fully in the American dream. For Focus, I'm Grover Silcox reporting.
Thank you, Grover. In a world filled with video games, busy work schedules, and constant distractions, some say it's not always easy to teach kids the benefits of a healthy lifestyle. Focus contributor Amy Johnson takes us inside a program called Community Canvas to see what happens when art is used as a tool to unlock some important life lessons.
1, 2, 3, go!
Kids today are completely bombarded. They actually don't have the ability to be able to express themselves.
But with a bit of paint and a blank canvas, art can become a perfect pathway for children to express their creativity.
I love art. New creativity goes wild.
And that's exactly the outcome founders of an initiative called Community Canvas aim to create. Local filmmaker Zeke Zelker heads up Lehigh Valley Art Spark, live events which turn art into entertainment.
Get ready.
The kids are given a lunchbox full of art supplies. They don't know what's in that lunchbox.
He loves art. He's always drawing, so this was right up his alley.
Every little paper she finds, she's drawing something all the time.
You gotta look fancy, you gotta look good.
Staff members from Children's Hospital at Lehigh Valley Health Network partnered with Zeke to create Community Canvas, an outreach program designed to educate children about healthy living.
This is the time to capture their attention and educate them in a way that's fun and in a way that really is sustainable learning for them.
The kids create their best illustration of a healthy living theme they learned in a school assembly put on by the hospital. The assemblies discuss topics like urban gardening, presented by the Rodale Institute, the connection between good health and good nutrition, the benefits of unique exercises like Zumba, meditation, and yoga, and the relationship between physical activity and mental health and well-being.
I put a heart and some vegetables around it and then put "This makes your life better."
The incentive? One painting will be selected at the end of the evening to move on to the grand finale Community Canvas event in May.
And a big round of applause as they get their photos taken. Congratulations to all the artists.
A second winner will also be awarded via an online poll, but no one goes home empty-handed. Every participant gets a prize bag full of art supplies.
The cool thing about it too is the artwork that the kids create ends up hanging at the Children's Hospital.
Each event is held at a neighborhood venue. On this night, it's the Salvation Army in downtown Allentown.
They get to enjoy an evening for free in an area that's part of their community, that's close to home with their families.
If children are healthy, they'll become healthy adults. If they learn healthy habits early, they're more likely to stick to them.
But it's not just all about painting. Healthy food and exercise are also key components of each Community Canvas event.
Kenny says jump up and down.
Entertainers and professional dancers who participate in the school assemblies are on hand to encourage the kids to get up and move. They dance, hula hoop, and play an energetic version of Simon Says.
I had fun playing the games, learning new dance moves.
All that activity works up an appetite, and that's where the tasty portion of the program comes in. Tonight's guest chefs are from Greenmouth Cafe.
We challenged them to use 3 main ingredients and create 3 different meals with those same 3 ingredients. Because the biggest thing is a matter of being able to use things and be economical.
Owner Sarah Hinch says she happily accepted the challenge.
Well, at Greenmouth, we have a mission of supporting our local community and helping educate others about how whole, organic food eating can create a healthier lifestyle.
We did a Southwest black bean and sweet potato burger, topped with some guacamole and tomato.
The chili was awesome.
Healthy foods might not always be attractive to youngsters, but these kids said tonight's dishes were better than they expected.
I like that burger with the guacamole. It tastes so good.
Each recipe is typed out on a card for families to take with them and recreate in their own kitchens.
I was thinking maybe my mom, we could make that and that we could share with our family.
And they go home tonight and they've learned something that may continue on.
Through the inspiration of good nutrition, exercise, and creativity, Community Canvas provides the backdrop to create a masterpiece for kids and adults alike to build on. For Focus, I'm Amy Johnson reporting.
Thank you, Amy. Our next guest is a firm believer in the connection between healthy bodies and artistic expression. Heather O'Dale is the president and founder of Healing Through the Arts, a nonprofit organization that helps people find inspiration through art during difficult times in their lives. Heather, welcome to Focus.
Thank you.
Heather, this passion grew out of a very personal experience for you. Tell us how you came to form this organization.
Well, I was diagnosed with a stage 3 melanoma, and when I was finished with surgery, my doctor said, go back to work. And I said, my mind is not the same anymore. Am I cured? Am I not cured? And he said he couldn't tell me that. Just go live your life, he said. I said, what does it mean to just go live your life? And he said, you'll have to figure that out yourself. So I left my job in a leave of absence and took classes and found that everything that helped me heal was based in the arts. When I looked at how somebody who can't take a leave of absence from their job heals, I found that this information was not all in the same place. So I developed my website, htta.org, so that people would be able to find some of the things that I found so useful in helping me heal.
What did you learn about yourself going through this process?
I learned that I had more power than I thought and more control in healing. Stuck between knowing whether you're cured or not cured is a horrible place, and I suffered a depression as a result of that. So learning how to live without knowing that you're cured and just enjoying every day, and the 8 expressive arts on my website are the real keys that help me kind of get unstuck from this depression and help me see that there was a bigger life for me ahead.
We'll talk more about those 8 expressive arts, but first I wanted to share what you found to be the benefits of art in the healing process. So you say that patients who have exposure to art are more optimistic and hopeful. They experience less boredom, anxiety, and loneliness. They're better able to let go of fears and tension and reduce stress. They're better able to communicate their emotions and concerns, as well as the fact that they feel less pain, and they better respond to treatment. How do you know all this to be true?
Well, one of the first things that my surgeon told me was that attitude was everything. He said, don't forget that. If you come to him, if I came to him and thought that I was going to die, he said he had a terrible time turning me around. So he wanted me to focus on having a positive attitude. So that was the first thing that I learned. Then I came across the research of Dr. Roger Ulrich, who did, in the 1980s, a study in a hospital of gallbladder patients who half the people on one side of the hall had a view of nature from their hospital room, and the other people on the other side of the hall had a view of a brick wall. And what he found was the people who had a view of nature had all those examples that you just mentioned. So I thought that if somebody doesn't have a view of nature, how can they have that optimistic view? And creating art was really to provide a window of hope when a real window in a hospital room didn't exist. What we found was that hospital rooms are so busy with equipment and signage that there's no room for art there. And so we create the opportunity for high school and college students to create art to inspire healing in healthcare, and it's free to hospitals and any healing facility. What they do with this art now is they put it in treatment areas, waiting rooms, hallways, where people are spending time, not the lobbies where the visitors are, but where the patients are spending time waiting.
And in a few moments, we'll talk more about how our viewers can get involved in that process. But I wanted to go back to those 8 expressive arts of healing. And you list them as joy, visual arts, music, nature, photography, poetry, harmony, and health. And you list joy first among those because you believe that's the most essential. Tell us more about how you came to believe that.
In my period of depression, I was so clouded I couldn't even think about how to make it to the next day. And I hired a business coach, life coach, to help me figure out how to do this. I didn't know where to turn. And she asked me to let go of everything in my life that was not joyful. It took me 3 months to let go of everything, but I let go of everything except my home and my family. And when I let go of everything that was not joyful, and I created a joy map, which how to do it is on my website, I realized that you can increase joy if you know what brings you joy. So that's really the key, is to live a joyful life, know what brings you joy, and then make a plan to increase it in your life. You sometimes forget about the pain during this process because you're so focused on thinking about what brings you joy, what you want to do, that your mind is taken away from the pain. The rest of the 8 expressive arts, you can do whatever, and you don't even have to do them all. You can just do whatever appeals to you. For example, I found that when I was out in nature, I wasn't really thinking about myself. I was thinking about the beauties of the seasons and what I was seeing. And nature is this most wonderful teacher because spring always comes after winter and summer comes after spring, and it's always changing, and it's showing us that we can change too. And there's always a feeling of renewed spirit when you're out in nature and you're breathing that fresh air and just seeing the beauties that nature has to offer. So, you know, the photography kind of goes from that. Music was really key to me. I had my surgery in the winter. That winter I had a terrible time staying warm. I asked my doctor why I just couldn't get warm, and he didn't really know, but he said, well, maybe the energy of your body is going to the source of the healing and, you know, away from the rest of the body. I found that if I put music on and started to move with the music, I was able to stay warm, as opposed to putting on layers of sweaters, which only made me more sedentary. So that's really how, and I also created a playlist called Melancholy Moods Turned Around, that when I was sad, I put on this playlist of some of my favorite songs that really caused me to think about how to be happy instead of how to be sad.
Well, I want to make sure we have time to talk about the Hope and Healing Art Show. Now, our viewers can view the winners of this high school and college student competition on your Facebook page at Healing Through the Arts, and they can also see them in person March 7th through the 30th at the Baum School of Art. And there's actually an award ceremony that will be held on March 30th at the Baum School of Art. How many students participate in this event?
We had 151 pieces of art donated to us for this event. It is a juried show, so I think there's about 120 some that made it to the juried process. The gallery has limited space, and so there's beautiful pieces of art, and all these students, high school and college students, tell a story about healing because they have to supply an inspiration statement with their art. So you get a chance to see what the student wanted the viewer to know about healing, whether it's their own healing or a message that they want to relate to someone else.
And I had the opportunity to view a lot of this art, and it's very exceptional, especially for student work. Well, Heather, thank you so much for sharing this important information with our viewers.
Thank you.
Well, you can learn more about Healing Through the Arts at htta.org. Another local art competition will supersize the work of 7 Lehigh Valley-based artists, including the work of one local high school student. Here's a look at the winners of Art Pop Lehigh Valley. Winners of the second annual Art Pop Lehigh Valley competition will have their work displayed on billboards near the region's roadways through a partnership between ArtsQuest and Adams Outdoor Advertising. Winners of this juried competition feature photography, mosaics, and paintings. The People's Choice winner, called Peeping Tom by Mindy Hahn of Penn Argyl, features colored pencil, markers, and latex paint on paper. This year's competition also includes a student artist. The winner, Jeremy Gibson, is a Parkland High School student who created a charcoal drawing called Reach. You can see the winner's work on your commute throughout the Lehigh Valley. It will also be on exhibit in the ArtsQuest Center at Steel Stacks in Bethlehem through March 13th. PBS 39 is also proud to salute young artists in our community through our Artist of the Month program. Started this year as part of a science and arts initiative we call Full Steam Ahead, each month throughout 2016 we will feature a new student artist. Here's Krishna, an 8th grade student sharing his passion for photography.
Hi, I'm Krishna and I'm the PBS 39 Artist of the Month. I started taking photographs when I was about 6 or 7 years old. I remembered taking a lot of pictures of my brother and my family. I would take pictures using my dad's camera and I really liked capturing the moments. I learned about photography from my father, who likes taking pictures as well. I love photography because I love capturing moments in the world. I like to photograph everything, however I especially enjoy still lifes and nature. As a photographer, I'm inspired by my father, who likes to take pictures. This is my photograph, Shadow of the Cup, and it was inspired by a piece in school that we did on lights and shadows. I took this photograph with my smartphone. I'm happy and excited to be the PBS 39 Artist of the Month.
Thanks for sharing, Krishna. We look forward to meeting all of our winning artists throughout 2016. As we mentioned, that's part of our Full Steam Ahead initiative, which we'll be focusing on over the next month, and we'll focus on science, technology, engineering, arts, and math. And your first story took you to a new program at Penn State Lehigh Valley.
That's right. They have a it's called Launchbox program, and it's a program to cultivate entrepreneurs, new ideas, and had an opportunity to interview, meet, and see some young people who are, starting out with a new business, new ideas, and they get supported by this program. So it's fascinating.
It's being run out of a really cool workspace in Allentown called the Velocity Building, which is right around the corner from the Allentown Art Museum, where you were earlier this week.
Part of the City Center group has provided that space, and I think they really find it important to be in the center of Allentown and all that new development, and there's an energy there, and these young people bring a lot of energy, and they have new ideas, and they're bright people, and it's very exciting to see. So I think it says there's a lot of promise going on in the Lehigh Valley and at Penn State Lehigh Valley and with these young people. So it'll be interesting to see how that all comes together and what they're doing.
And of course, at the Allentown Art Museum right now, you're seeing this deep, rich history come to life in photographs.
Right, 157 photographs and some of the most dramatic, vivid imagery from that time period in the 60s when the Civil Rights Movement had some of its most iconic moments. And these photojournalists were activist photographers as opposed to photographers just on assignment. They were really committed to the movement, and they were on the front lines, and they put themselves in harm's way frequently. One of them said, I just kept walking. If someone tried to come up to me and confront me, I just kept going. So they really put their lives on the line, and use their talents to help what we call a transformative cause.
Great. Well, thank you very much, Grover. You may have noticed that we're missing Brittany Garzillo today. She's taking a brief medical leave and will return to Focus in just a few weeks. So thank you so much, Grover.
You're welcome.
And thank you for joining us. We'll see you next week. Until then, remember to focus on what matters.